Some whiskeys are made for any time of the year, and then there are those that are made for a specific moment. This one is meant for cold nights, warm fires, and stories worth telling. High West, a Midwinter Night's Dram, has become a seasonal legend. But is it just overpriced hype, or does this pour truly bring magic? Stick around and find out. It's the Simple Whiskey Show.
Simple whiskey, Cyncere. Here to keep it 100. What's the ABV? Keep it simple. Simple whiskey, and be sweeter.
Welcome back to the Simple Whiskey Show. I'm Cyncere, and tonight we're diving into a hate it or love it allocated rye. High West, a Midwinter Night's Dram. This rye whiskey is finished in French oak and port barrels and has built quite a reputation. Some people swear by it, others think it's overrated. Tonight, we're breaking it down. We'll be diving into nose, palate, and finish, then gauging how it holds up with a few drops of water and whether or not it's truly worth tracking down. Speaking of tracking down, make sure you track down that like button, subscribe, and turn on your notifications so you never miss a pour. Alright, let's see if this dram delivers. So here's what we got in the glass tonight. A Midwinter Night's Dram, Act 12, Scene 2. The mash bill on this consists of undisclosed amounts of the Rendezvous Rye mash bill made up of 95% rye, 5% malted barley distilled by MGP. Then it also includes the 80% rye, 20% malted rye distilled by High West. The proof on this, 98.6. MSRP on this one's around 150 bucks. Secondary prices on this one can soar way above that. High West takes their Rendezvous rye and finishes it in port barrels, giving it those rich wintry flavors. Does it really taste like a holiday in the glass? Let's find out. Let's get to sipping. All right, so I gave it a little bit of time to open up. Last time I had this one, the neck pour was a bit underwhelming, a little bit too rye spice forward, but again, the second time I went to it, I actually enjoyed it. So, third time's a charm. Let's see what we let's see what we get on it tonight. So on the nose, I do get a little bit of that cinnamon, almost like a darker fruit note, maybe even a plum. And then something sweet comes through on this one, maybe like a gingerbread note, but more so with that molassesy spice, I get more of a ginger snap note on this, like the old cookies, the ginger snaps. Let's go in for a sip and see what we get. Cheers. All right, first pour tonight, spice, not overpowering, close to 100 proof. That cinnamon note does shine through a little bit, more so on the beginning taste. I do get something sweet, almost like a honey note on this, but something else that stands out on the back end is like an oak note or a toasted oak, where you usually get like that chocolatey maple type note. I do get that darker chocolate note on this one. The finish on this is medium. It does linger quite nicely, but I do get some sort of a peppery bite to it. And then again, that toasted oak note really shines through on the finish. But let's see what we get on this when we add water to it. I'm very curious to see how this opens up. I'm not traditionally a rye guy, but again, the flavors of rye have been really catching my palate a lot more lately. So let's see what we get. Okay, so the water's been added, giving it a little bit of time to marinate. I don't think I'm gonna get the traditional caramel on this just based off of the notes that I got on it the first time through, but let's see what we get on the nose. Ooh, it's like whatever that dark fruit note was that I got on it the first time on the nose, it was like a plum or a richer plum note. This is almost like a raspberry note with the water in it. Some sort of a even sweeter fruit, nowhere near as dark as the plum note. Like I said, I'm getting more of a raspberry note on the nose. Little bit of spice still there. That oakiness is very faint compared to what it was the first go around. Let's go in for a sip and see what the water does to this one. Cheers. Possibly another one of those that I say when you add water to it, it does enhance it, not water it down like you would assume. I get some sort of a, like that dark chocolate note is still there, but it's almost like a dark chocolate, like the Valentine's Day candies where you get a little bit of like cherry or raspberry or something in the middle, like some sort of a stuffed chocolate note is what I get on this. The spiciness that I got on it the first go around is not existent at all. Very smooth sipper. Again, I only added 5 drops of water, so I'm not quite sure what that would have proofed it down to. in this amount of whiskey, but a lot smoother on the palate. I don't even get that traditional spearminty note that I get on rye. Not even on the first sip did I get that. But this is one that I think is actually decent, especially compared to where I thought it was when I first got it. Now keep in mind, when I bought this, I see it sitting in the store. It's an allocated bottle. It's $150 a bottle. Expectations on this are through the roof. But I have seen a lot of other reviewers that have had some of the older Midwinter Nights Dram, and back when the price was a lot lower than what it is now, they enjoyed that one more so than they enjoyed this one. My question for them as well as myself is, are we disappointed that the price is so expensive, or is it really a quality versus year over year thing to where the bottle got so much hype that the distillery is like, you know what, we can put this out and raise the price and we don't have to necessarily put our best foot forward. People are gonna buy it, it now has a reputation. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Is this one that was hyped up based off of reputation? Or if you've had some of the older ones as well as the newer ones, is the juice worse now that it's more popular and mainstream? Let's dive into my simple thoughts. High West Midwinter Nights Dram. MSRP on this, $149.99 a bottle. Mash bill I went over earlier, the 2 different blends, higher rye mash bill. Finished in port barrels. Is this a buy, buying back up, pass, or what? For me, I know I just touched on this a moment ago, but for me, if I'm gonna spend $150 on a bottle, it has to blow me away. And very seldom does anything that's $150 even blow me away. Like one of my favorite bottles is Elijah Craig Barrel Proof Batch C923. That bottle was, I think, $79.99 at the time, and that blew me away. This is almost double. It's a high rye forward, finished in port barrel. So for those of you who have that specific palate that just absolutely goes towards port finish or absolutely goes towards rye, I'd say this is a buy. But for those like me, I initially passed on this. I literally had to reach out to a buddy of mine and say, hey, I've seen a lot of negative things about Midwinter Nights Dram lately. What are your thoughts? I just passed on it. If I come back through and it's still there, then maybe it's meant to be. Well, sure enough, I went back through. It was still there, so I guess it's meant to be. I've had it on 3 different occasions. Super Bowl Sunday, then I went back to it just for a tasting so I could get some notes on it. And then tonight, so you see that much is already out of it. It's not a whole lot. Not sure I'll be reaching for this one a whole lot going forward. Primarily just because it was $150 a bottle, and I don't want to kill off a $150 bottle just to kill it off. Recommendation would be try it before you buy it. If you can find it at a restaurant or a bar where you can get a pour of it, they're going to probably charge you an arm and leg for a pour, but I'd rather spend $30 on the pour to know I don't like it, to not spend the $150 a bottle, as opposed to buy the $150 bottle and not like it and then it collects dust. Definitely won't be an old dusty for me. I do enjoy it. It's actually better than it was the first night that I tried it, but that's my simple thoughts. If you've enjoyed this review and want some tips on more cost-effective pours, check out my blind video on $30 budget bangers. And remember, whiskey is like a good story. The best ones are meant to be shared. Here's to great pours, even better conversations, and keeping it simple. Cheers.